Hello YouTube! Hey, this is MLC here with our first ever video, and today we are reviewing the Sony Zv1. This is one of the best cameras that you can get out there for vlogging, for YouTube, and it is priced competitively. So without further ado, let's find out, shall we? So to not bore you too much about the specifications and all that, what are the main features that I feel are important for you as a content creator or vlogger or product reviewer, whatever you're gonna do on YouTube or be whatever it is this camera can shoot at up to 4K 30 frames per second, and on a full charge, no recording limit at all. So on a full charge, I actually could do up to 2 hours recording, no problem. And the best part is this thing comes with f2 1.8 to 2.8 aperture. So this is actually fantastic for low light situations. So for those of you who have a poor lighting background or recording that you can't really control the environment, this is a great little camera. And the best part about that is that it also has a 24 to 70 zoom range, as you can see from the camera. It's pretty versatile for a little pocket camera like this. So the first feature that actually attracts me to this camera for content creators or vloggers is, of course, this flip out screen. Now you can see that once I flip out the screen, the camera actually starts on and the lens comes out. So this is the 24-70 lens that I'm talking about previously. And once you open it, the lens, the camera, everything activates. Of course, you got an on and off button right here, but man, this thing is fantastic. As you can see, it can turn all the way front, all the way back. It can go in and out. You're using this to vlog and all that. You actually can look at yourself and you can see that whether you're in frame or not. Because most people will say, yeah, you can just use your iPhone or any of your mobile phones nowadays. When we're using something like this is an iPhone 11 Pro. You can use the front-facing camera and you can just vlog, you can see yourself to see whether you're in frame. The quality from the front-facing camera is normally not that good. The good camera is actually the one at the front. But when you put it like this, you can't really see yourself whether you're in frame and everything, and then where it gets irritating. And another cool feature of the Sony Zv1 is like this. If you open this up and then when you press the record button, look at that little light that comes on. Now this is not really a groundbreaking feature, but it is an important feature. Now why do I say that? Okay, look at that. When I turn the recording off, it also goes off. So it allows you to know whether you are recording or not. So another feature that I really like about this camera is that when you buy this camera, you have an option to purchase it with the vlogging kit. So the vlogging kit comes with this grip here, this Bluetooth grip. It's a wireless grip. There is the wired version, which is actually cheaper, but I actually topped up the cash a bit to get this wireless version because I don't like all that, I like the whole small form factor thing. And this grip has a rap name. Why do I call it a rap name? Because if I can just find it, so the name of this grip is GPVP T2BT. Wow, it's like a rap name. So what does it do basically? It has, as you can see from the camera here, okay, that's the photo option, that's the record button. You can control the zoom in and out, and of course there is that custom button which you can customize. You can program it in the camera, and of course this one can be your defocus button, which I'll go back into more details of it later. This is a great feature and I really love this. And the best part is that because it's connected to your camera via Bluetooth, it can act as a remote control. So it's fantastic. Now of course there's a cheaper option where you can actually connect it to the Sony app and control, but wow, it's laggy and all this, whereas this one is just so convenient. Plus it acts as a stand, a mini tripod. How cool is that, man? The third feature which I really love about the Sony Zv1 is actually its inbuilt audio. Camera here has this dead kitten that comes along with it. Now this is like a wind muffler to protect you from all the wind noise. Let's say if you're vlogging out in public and all that and it's a windy day. And what Sony prides upon this is that it actually produces one of the best internal audio sounds that on a camera that I've heard so far, because there's actually 3 points here that actually control the internal audio. So for sure, this is a really fantastic feature of the Sony Zv1 because, especially for those of us who don't want to invest too much, it is acceptable. And I recommend that if you're going to do vlogging with an internal mic, set the volume to about 25 to 27. 28 is a bit too high depending on your environment. Let's say with this example now, I'm going to show you in the B-roll.
This is the internal mic test of the Sony Zv1. So I'm just using the big kitten on the Sony Zv1 right now to test the sound quality inside the Jewel Mall in Singapore. There's a construction going behind me, and yeah, it doesn't get noisier than this. So
continuing about audio, alright, another fantastic feature that the Sony Zv1 has for a compact camera is this little thing here called the hot shoe. Now, sometimes you will hear it as a cold shoe or a hot shoe. So for those of you who don't understand what is a hot shoe or cold shoe, a hot shoe is basically when you can connect a device that is compatible to this camera and it can use the power source from the camera itself. Whereas a cold shoe, you can just connect it to just be stabilized on it, but it still has to have its own independent power source and it still has to be connected. Let's say a microphone like a Rode Wireless Go, you put it on here and it still needs to be connected via the microphone jack at the corner right here. Whereas a hot shoe independent item, that doesn't do. So Sony has its own independent microphones and flash for those flash users out there. So you can just connect it directly on this hot shoe and it works without any hinges or anything, straight away, and it's fantastic. The only downside that I find that, and I myself is not using that, is because the microphone itself is really expensive. So definitely something to consider if you're considering that. But I love this feature. This is fantastic. So the Sony Zv1, it has this super auto exposure transitions optimized for faces, and this helps adjust the exposure for the background no matter what the situation, be it indoor or outdoors. It always prioritizes the face so that your face always looks the best, and I think this is great for people who are not very technical. And to help with this also, the Sony Zv1 also has this inbuilt ND filter, and I think that's great because for those of you who don't know what an ND filter is, basically it's something that you can put on your lens to help deal with the glare, the control to whether it's too glaring or not. Even though you can set your exposure too low, the ND filter will actually help, and it's nice that the Sony Zv1 comes with an inbuilt ND filter, which is actually fantastic. Okay, so another Sony Zv1 feature that I think is great for the common user is the steady shot feature, which helps with the vlogging. So I could be vlogging with my camera right now and I'm happily walking and all this. So when you're walking, there's a lot of wobble, and that adds to issues also with your video being too shaky. So when having the steady shot function, which is something like an IBIS on Canon, this thing is really a wonderful feature for stability in your videos. Of course, it cannot be measured to that of a GoPro or an iPhone, but it still helps with the video, and I like this feature a lot. And the best feature, of course, is Sony's Autofocus software. This Autofocus software basically keeps focus on your face no matter whether you're in and out of, transitions in between scenes and everything. So this is actually something that I really love for the Sony Zv1, and this is one feature I feel that is very important for you guys if you're considering this camera, because it's really irritating, especially even compared to full frame cameras, your APS-Cs, where you can change out the lens but the lens keeps in and out, there's no focus. So this is something that it's a major goal. Another two features that I think is quite unique to this camera is, of course, this button here, which is the defocus button. And this is basically when you're doing a selfie like what I'm doing right now, and you're vlogging and all this. So when your face is in frame and all that, then you realize, oh shit, I want more focus is on my face. So with the just press of a button, you defocus the background and the focus is on you. And this creates that nice bokeh effect. And it's all via a button. Isn't that cool or not? Because it's not like too complicated like with a full frame camera, and I think this is great for those people who are not so technical, and definitely another major feature for this. Then the second feature, and if you ask me is the best feature, is the product showcase, which is showed by this button, which is the bin button or the C2 button. So when you have this button, you click on it, it's the product showcase mode. And how it works is like this. In the past, you need to put your face away from the subject, like this in front. I have to hide my face, then the camera will focus on the Sony Zv1, the product, and then it will focus on my face. But let's say with the product showcase mode, your face can still be in the frame like what I am right now, and then you can just show the thing and it's still in focus. it will focus on this with my face, you know, being slightly blurred. But then right now it's still tracking my face with my current camera. So this is the benefit of the Sony Zv1's product showcase mode. And I think that is really cool. I have yet to find a product just that can do this, and all in such a small form factor. So the Sony Zv1 actually acts as a great photo camera as well. I mean, I've been raving on and on about, you know, that this camera is good for content creation, video works and all that. But can it take photos? Definitely. It also has all those profiles for animal mode or animal tracking, eye tracking and all this. So in this B-rolls, you can see that, you know, actually I can take from some of my cats and all that. And you can see that the quality of the images, the pictures is really fantastic. So for sure, I think this is a fantastic camera for pictures as well. But to make this a fair comparison to, you know, for you guys, whoever who are watching this video, you're watching this most probably because you're weighing the pros and cons for whether you want to buy the Sony Zv1 or not, even at this stage of 2021. So for me, I've already told you all the pros. Now I'll tell you the cons. The cons is, first of all, it doesn't have a wide angle lens, because even though this can do 24 to 70 for vlogging wise, 24 is okay, but it is, for some cases it's not wide enough because you want the whole detail to capture every detail. So this is where the wide angle lens comes in. So, but this being a point and shoot camera, you can't really attach anything, but there are accessories that you can order online. Let's say the Ulanzi wide angle one, that's also a pretty good one. There is also another brand, but I can't really pronounce the name of the brand. So that is one option that you can solve it. But for this 24mm, I mean, it depends on you really. It really depends on you and the type of content that you're creating. For me, this is good enough, and for some people it's not. But for sure, if you're going to use the Sony Zv1 for vlogging, you're going to need to really hold it out at the arm's length like this to get the full frame plus your background and all that. If not, there's going to be some cutting of your head and everything. So some things to take note. Then also another thing, as I was also saying, that how good that this is as a photo camera, not just a video camera. There is no EVF. And for me, because I also do have another camera just specifically for my stills and all that, landscape photography, street photography and all that, nothing beats the feeling of having an EVF, you know, just to electronic viewfinder to see. Whereas this one, you have to just purely survive on this LCD screen. Not saying that it's bad or anything, but yeah, you know, sometimes you want to get the coloring, the focus and everything. It's just not the same. It's a bit more difficult sometimes, and it's easier to use your EVF sometimes. So definitely it doesn't have a headphone jack. So I'm right to say that the only way that you can monitor your audio is hopefully to make sure that, you know, your check settings for your volume is hitting the correct levels, and the rest of it is actually based on you going back into post and then checking your audio. So that's a bit of a downer for me. So in this day of age, and 2020 to 2021, you know, cameras I feel should have be including the, you know, the mic jack and the headphone jack, just to give people the option to monitor their audio. But this is something that is not really a big problem to me, but it could be a big problem for you. So just to take note. Also, now that I was also saying that this has a great 4K 30 frames per second, but sadly some people will actually prefer up to 4K 60. But for this point and shoot, it doesn't really have that capability. You can do 60 frames per second if it's in full HD, or 120 frames per second also in full HD, which is, for those of you who are not sure, is 1080p. But you know, I can understand that Sony doesn't want to do that because they don't want to cannibalize their full frame mirrorless cameras and all that. So if that feature is in this camera, I think I would rather get this than have full frame. I'm just saying. And of course, another thing that is the downer for video in terms of that 4K 30 is that it has quite a crop when you are using the 4K 30 frames per second, or anything to do with let's say zooming in and all that. You know, the crop is quite big to be honest. So some things to take note. For me, the 4K 30 if it's just for basic use like that, I think it's okay. And for me, even if I were to vlog with this camera, I would not actually like to vlog in 4K 30. I would like to vlog in 1080 because full HD for me is okay. But for people, you know, they want to produce the highest quality vlog in terms of the content quality, then you have to take note, because that crop factor really comes in, and you know, your head becomes smaller or closer and all this. So some things to take note, guys. And then now in 2021, just to let you know that the touchscreen, alright, as nice as it is, alright, it is not like Canon, because as you have heard from previously in my video, that I was using a Canon R6. So coming from a Canon user to a Sony user, alright, this camera it has a touchscreen, but you only can use it to control your focusing. But you can't really, you know, actually, you know, use it as a full touchscreen, like, you know, click your options and all this. And of course, you know, being a Canon user and a Sony user, I must dare say that in terms of a user experience, Canon is still better in the sense of its menus. Whereas in Sony, this is still a great improvement, but you know, it is quite bad in the sense that, you know, in the sense that it's not that it's not usable, but you know, in the past, I actually had to Google how to use certain functions in the camera and how to search for that function. You know, of course, you can download the PDF and, you know, just learn and read. You know, people tell you that, but sometimes when we buy something like that, we want the convenience. We want it now. You know, we want it good and easy. But yeah, some things to take note. So you're gonna have to use that wheel dial thing on the back, like this wheel here, to use it, and that can be a problem for most people. So some things to take note. But for me was that coming from Canon then back into Sony, and then I was like, wow, what's this and all that. But I had some experiences with the Sony A7 II. So yeah, you know, it's something that you guys just have to take note. For those of you who came from the, you know, who are actually coming from the older versions, let's say this guy is actually a younger brother to the RX100, which is so-called their premium point and shoot camera from Sony. So that camera actually has what is known as a control ring here to, you know, to control your focus and all that, and this one doesn't. So for those of you who like to take photography based on manual focusing and all that, not really, you don't really have the option. So you're gonna have to control by the wheel dial here, or the zoom in and zoom out. So final conclusions, do I actually recommend this camera? For sure. I mean, come on guys, look at this. Small form factor, the full articulating screen, just like that. The no record limit, 4K 30, then the high frame rate, the time-lapse mode. And the best part is actually, because I also do gaming and streaming on another channel, and I love the fact that this camera can do clear HDMI output up to 1080p, if I'm not wrong, and 4K. But man, it doesn't overheat and it doesn't have any issues and all that. But of course, this camera also has its limitations. Compared to like a full frame camera, you don't have interchangeable lenses and all this. But buying a full frame camera also comes with its added costs, its added settings, and more customization. So it boils down to you as an individual. So I'll basically give it into two categories. Who will like this and who will not like this? Who will like this? If you need a B camera, if you want to do basically product showcases, very simple ones, without the fuss of all that, if you just do specifically vlogging, you're those kind of individual where you don't like to mess around with settings. You just want to click it and you're done. Those kind of people will love this camera. Now, who is this camera not for? For those people who love a full frame camera, who love to shoot manual mode very much. Not saying that you can't do that on this camera, you can, but you will soon realize that, you know, you will miss your full frame cameras and all this. Because in terms of content creation for YouTube especially, I think this Sony Zv1 is a great starter camera for any individual who's going to start a YouTube game. For me, I wasn't really a camera guy, to be honest. And until I started using the Sony Zv1, because I wanted to start YouTube and I wanted to live stream content on and etc. So I was messing around with GoPros, this and that, and then I soon got, you know, the bug to be really playing with cameras, learning photography and all this. And the Sony Zv1 started off as like a non-intimidating factor for me to, you know, pick up a camera and shoot, because I used to feel very intimidated when people, you know, with those big lenses and all that, and they were using it, and I always felt that I was inadequate to use it. You know what I mean? But with this it's a great introduction. But for those of you who, like, you know, prefer lenses and all this, then you prefer to have more customization, more details, like, you know, to help with your editing in post and all that, then maybe you can consider a full frame camera or APS-C cameras like the Canon M50 version 2. You can get those. Those also shoot up to 4K, but the crop factor is quite high also as well. Or you can get a full frame camera, which is of course the A7 III. But bearing in mind, all of these things these alternatives that I've given you, they cost more. That's the added cost of buying the lenses, buying the accessories, and so on. Whereas for the Sony Zv1, it's just you can just take it out, charge it, and use it. Yep. And I hope you enjoyed this review. Please leave a like and subscribe.